So it's too late to put the genie back in the bottle. And by the genie, I mean the people. We cannot put the people back in the bottle. And this is a good thing, right? We've reached that critical mass. We've reached that turning point. We've reached that pivot. We've entered that new timeline. So we're not going back, and we're not going onto that other timeline that people in positions of power want us to be on. But the key is persistence. So even though we're on the timeline where we are in a state of refusal, we have to stay on that timeline. We have to stay in that mode of refusal. We have to persist. No matter what, we have to persist. And now persistence is not difficult when you have unity. When you have a lot of people persisting with you, then it's not as challenging. When you're that lone person out there saying, no, 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 then it's hard. So now that we have the critical mass, the key is, what are we going to do with this critical mass? How are we going to move forward, right? That's the thing. So I have an assignment for you. I have an assignment for all of us. We all have the same assignment. And that is that we all have to figure out what we're going to do individually, what each one of us is going to do, because we all have different gifts and different skills and different availability. We all have different levels of risk in terms of activity. We can't all be out on the streets. We can't all be engaging in certain types of activities depending on our situation. But we can all participate in non-cooperation with flashy depots. We can all refuse to cooperate with the circus. We can all insist on pointing out that it is a circus. Some of us are going to non-cooperate in artistic ways. Some of us are going to non-cooperate by refusing to be silent, refusing to conform, refusing to go along with the okie doke. Some of us are going to be more active in our non-cooperation. Maybe we have jobs where we can actively non-cooperate with the machinery, with the gunk, with gumming up the works, right? Some of us are going to interrupt traffic or interrupt business as usual at our government buildings or at certain businesses or corporations. Some of us are going to make beautiful art that grabs the attention of a large number of people, because Artivism is so powerful, whether it's visual art, music, dance, theater in the streets. It has a huge impact on raising the consciousness and also on communicating to the flashy depot, to the circus, and to anyone else who's listening from other realms. It communicates where we're at, how we feel, what we do and do not support. Because if you don't vocally say that you don't support it, then you support it. It reminds me of a story. When I was younger, I used to be so outraged about violence against women. And I found myself in situations where I witnessed it. And even though I was not a particularly, combat ready person, I didn't have any special training, I'm not particularly big and strong, I would still personally involve myself in stopping that when I encountered it. So on a bus once, a man hit a woman. I jumped up and got in between them. On another occasion, I called the police. On another occasion, I banged on someone's door who was clearly abusing someone behind that closed door. So you might say those were kind of reckless things to do. I was young, I was foolish, I was invincible. I wasn't worried about my safety. And these are the kind of things that young people will always do and always should do. But there are other ways to get involved in situations like that. But the point is, if you're standing by and witnessing an abuse occur and you're not interfering in it, then you are cooperating with it. And so that bus that I was on, there were like 30 people on that bus, many of them big, strong guys who could have taken that person on. There was a bus driver who could have called the police, right? But it was me, little 20-year-old me, who was like, 120 pounds. I was the one that did something. Everyone else who didn't do anything was cooperating with that abuse. And so this is the type of situation we find ourselves in. We're all either going to cooperate through our silence, we're going to be complicit, or we're going to stand up and we're going to say no in some form or fashion. And it doesn't always have to be the crazy self-risking fashion, like 20-year-old me jumping up on some dude who was clearly bigger and stronger than me, right? It doesn't have to be that, right? It can be something else, like quietly picking up your phone and calling, or going up to the bus driver and saying, hey, there's something going on in the back. Can you do something? Can you use your radio, right? It might even be someone getting off the bus, and then after they're safely off the bus, yelling in the window, or just going to a phone and calling after they got off the bus. So there's like different ways, right, to signal your non-compliance or your decision to not be complicit. And this is what we're dealing with right now with these clown cars, right, kidnapping people. We all have a choice to make right now. Are we going to be complicit in our silence? Are we just going to let our neighbors be grabbed up off the street? Are we just going to assume that there's nothing we can do? Or are we going to take some type of action? I don't think it should be a question. I think the answer is obvious. We all need to make a choice. We all need to find something we can do to stop it. So maybe you're passing out red cards. Maybe you are posting up flyers. Maybe you are going to neighborhood meetings to talk about defense. Maybe you're posting. Maybe you are making a song or a dance or some artwork and putting it in a prominent location. Maybe you're getting together with some of your theater friends and going and staging a performance, an Artivist performance in the park to express your non-cooperation. Maybe you're organizing the next People's Parade on July 4th. Maybe you're helping to organize the big sick day. Maybe you're one of the people who is fundraising for groceries for the people who are now afraid to leave their homes. Maybe you're fundraising for money for the vendors who are afraid to work at their job as a vendor because of the cars, the clown cars. Maybe you're joining the parades and you're out in the street with your signs and your bullhorn making noise. Maybe you're a people protector and you're joining with other people and forming rings of people around folks so they can't be taken. Maybe you're just standing on the sidelines with your camera recording everything so that when these people go to court, they can show this to the judge and show what happened. Maybe you're one of the people that's just taking pictures of license plates of these unmarked cars that are being used by these thugs with no ID so that we can identify who they are. Maybe you're attending your city hall or talking to your representatives or your mayor or your governor or your senators. If you study the history of flashy depots, the ones that were successful were always successful because of compliance, because people were silent and they did not do anything to not cooperate. So get together with a few neighbors or an organization and begin to brainstorm what is the best way for me personally to not cooperate. And I promise you, if you find something to do, some way to contribute, some small act of persistence, you will feel better. You will feel less traumatized by what's going on and by the news that you are receiving. So I only listed a few ways that people can not cooperate. I want to hear from other people in the comments. What are ways that people can not cooperate with this?